initially I was not good at maths. I became good at maths because of my mother. She used to give me like tests at home with proper marks and everything. She's a professor, so I had that in my house. And
Closer to your mom than your dad? You mentioned your mom a couple of times, not dad yet.
I think my mom was more involved in my studies and in my life. Dad would be also working for longer. My mom would come back home by lunch. So I saw more of her. I'm close to both my mom and dad. I think my dad's also very, very affectionate and very expressive in some ways. But then my mom is more of the chatterbox, kya chal raha hai life mein, all of that. Wants to know everything. So she's that. Sorry, where was I? Yeah, so she used to give me like these tests and all, and I would sort of answer it. And then if I didn't get even one question right, she would be like, "Ye karke lao." Yeah. Then I would correct it. And then
do you think
मुझे मार भी अपनी mom से ज़्यादा पड़ी है.
मार पड़ी थी?
हाँ, of course पड़ी है. इसे टेबल के आसपास घूमकर, then getting cornered in a balcony and then getting a fatka has happened.
Like this?
No.
Like properly?
Properly. Thappad vappad properly.
Why was your mum so competitive about how well you do? Did it come from something in her life?
I don't really know. I mean, I feel like she in her own life has been a very studious kid. She was the first woman who started working in her sort of family. Women used to not really work. She's done PhD, and she fought to do PhD. So she didn't really get those privileges.
Why fight?
Because her parents had the thinking of, kya itna pad ke kya karna hai? You know, just get married now. It was that. So I feel like she had to fight for a lot of dreams that she wanted to achieve. And she was always very, against any sort of bias, and she would stand up for the right and all of that. People in her relatives and her cousins and all, nobody was working. So she was the first one who took up a job.
Is your family conservative family? Not your parents, but broader?
No, not really.
No?
No. I mean, my parents have not really been conservative. I feel like they've really, which is the reason I'm where I am. But I also feel like my mom's thing on me also comes from the fact that she couldn't really do so much in her life that she wanted to. You know, she wanted to learn singing. She wanted to learn swimming.
Why didn't she do all those things?
Because she was not allowed. Because it was a thing कि ये क्यों करना है?
Allowed by?
Parents.
Her parents.
Her parents, of course. Her parents. She's done everything that she has after marriage in terms of like, obviously she learned swimming later. Till today she says, मुझे dance सिखा दे. And I'm like, अभी बहुत late हो गया, मैं नहीं सिखा सकती.
Very, very traditionally good-looking woman?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bit like you?
I mean, yeah, I think she in her time was also very tall. I'm very like lean and...
How tall are you, Kriti?
5'9.5".
Okay. Then?
Yeah, so I was always like this 90%er, doing well in school. When I was going to take science, my mom was like, why? And I was like, I think I like computer science and I like science more than commerce. Like, I want to become an engineer, not knowing what an engineer does at all. And she was like, engineering mein bahut pressure hota hai.
Is that again competition? Did you want to do science not because you liked it, but because the smartest kids in class were doing it?
No, not at all.
Then?
I think I genuinely, little bit of whatever computer science I had in my 10th or 9th or whatever, I liked it. And I felt like, software engineering I can do. I was not so much into accounts in general. My mom's a physics professor, so I was good at physics. Because she would teach me. So I had slowly developed an interest in physics also. So I was like, this is something I vibe with a little more. But I don't really know what an engineer does, but okay, maybe I'll make a software tomorrow. And that's why I took it, even though she was like, science is too much pressure, I don't think you can take pressure. Because again, I was someone who would get very serious about things, whether it's exam, and I would be like, मेरी भूख एकदम मिट जाती थी, सिर्फ एक जूस का ग्लास होता था. I would keep walking till I get my course right. So I was very that kind, and I still took science.
If you had to define your attachment style, what would it be? I'll give you an example. Are you the kind of baby when your mother walked into your room while you were crying and held you, you stopped crying immediately? Or are you the kind of baby when your mother came into the room and held you, took a long time to stop crying? Or are you the kind of baby that when your mother came into the room, you were indifferent to her being in the room and you didn't even cry when she left the room?
No, I think one out of the first or second. I mean, I can if I'm holding a lot inside. If at that point, when someone just touches you, you can sort of start crying. I can be that person.
Can you stop crying?
In some time. It's not instant. Yeah. If my mood is off, I usually don't want people around.
If your mood is off, you don't want people around.
If my mood is really off, I need to be left alone for some time. If I want to talk and you're there, I may start crying in front of you.
And how are you in?
And if you scream at me, I will 100% start crying.
Or you will scream back?
No, I'll start crying.
Never scream back?
Hardly.
Often mothers and fathers
Yeah.
are vicariously living their own dreams through their children.
I also feel like, when you have your first child, you don't really know what to do, right?
But you organically...
There's no book that is like, aise karna hai. So you put in everything and all your energy.
See, but today is different for you. When you were growing up, jab aap 5 saal ki thi, when you did something well, it was a compliment to your mother as much as it was a compliment to you.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe that gave her something that she wanted in her own childhood and never got. And you also mentioned she wanted to learn singing, learn dancing,
probably.
maybe be an actor, but she never had the opportunity.
Yeah, probably. See, it's not like with my sister, she's not done the same. Maybe a little less.
Because now she has you.
Maybe all the energy also in the first bond goes there and you overdo it. But the second bond, you're also a little exhausted. And it's मेरी बहन को भी टेस्ट मिलते थे ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं but अभी वो नहीं उसका वो I was the person who was obedient who I used to be a slow eater if I'm not eating and I used to sometimes TV देखते देखते खा रही हूँ 2 घंटे लग गए खाने में and she would be like बाहर जाके खाओ dining table पे my sister would go out and put the roti under the shelf and be like हो गया I wouldn't do that. It's also a personality difference.